Wheel of Time episode 5, where I found the perfect summary of how I feel switching from the books to the show.
That's the cutest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
We start with a pissed off ship. I can only assume it's because the Sean-chan have been absolutely decimated in the series. Got Sarah leading a Shamiel up to her boss. A Shamiel is basically Commander Riker if Picard was Satan. I don't know, I just think I'd be a little bit more discreet than this if I was controlled by Satan's right-hand man. Maybe my boss would get a little bit suspicious. He could even be wearing a disguise to look like him, but no, can't be bothered. Really looks like she gave her boss the finger, didn't it? By the way, that's Soroth. When she first arrives in farm, the first 2 fingernails on each of her hands are an inch long and lacquered blue. An inch long and lacquered blue. Amazon's taking the piss.
Are you taking the piss?
I've seen a clip of one of their staff going, we put in immense attention to detail to what all the people look like. My favourite part is how she's got like fingertip rings, because they couldn't even be bothered to make the nails look real, so they just put fake ends on the fingers. Are you gonna put the fingertip rings on any of her other fingers to make it look like it No, right. That's like just putting a bit of jewellery on top of Ahsoka's head to hide where her fake hair starts. Oh no, wait, Ahsoka did that as well, didn't they? Ahsoka fans feel violated from one scene. Never take off your headpiece again. Violated is definitely the right word. I just saved that picture under the title Ahsoka Violation. If anyone steals my hard drives, they're gonna have a shock with that one. But she offends the High Lord, essentially her boss, by getting her voice to speak to him rather than speaking to him herself. The entire point of her voice is that you speak to the commoners who are beneath you via somebody else, because they're not worthy of your voice. He's your pissing boss. Doing that is just the height of stupidity. Deliberately offending somebody who can murder you.
As the High Lord commands.
I don't know why you're acting as if you own anything. You have no power here. This is like walking up to Henry VIII and going, I think you're a prick, mate. He beheaded 2 of his wives. He's not gonna stop with you.
There's a hot chick over there. I'm gonna go talk to it.
But they complain that she attacked a random village for absolutely no reason, and she's like, well, I brought back an ogier. Yes, I did go against the commands of my superior, but I brought back a guy who can sing and a guy who can't come within 100 meters of a school. Seriously, why did you dress him up like that?
By what right do you claim to make decisions over your Lord Commander?
Which is an excellent question. The next thing that happens is insane. We're back to calling the king a prick. Why are you sighing at your superiors?
Perhaps my lord made a mistake.
Even the Forsaken, even the right-hand man of Satan himself is like, you stupid bint. What do you think you're doing? I think we can tell from the inhalation of breath behind her in complete shock. That guy would just behead her. And if he had, it would have vastly improved the show.
We have a mission, uniting all the people of the world under our Empress to fight the Shadow.
That line was definitely added in after filming, wasn't it? Oh, we're gonna have him talking at the back of his face. So at least they finally got the Sean-chan's motivations correct. Does mean that randomly killing people for no reason, bit stupid. Also makes Polygon's article nonsense. So do you remember when the British Empire spanned the world so they could defeat Satan? Yeah, that's why they needed the spices. We actually held back the gates of Beelzebub. But he humiliates her, as she deserves. You've taken a town that we can't possibly defend.
I beg my lord's forgiveness.
You can't pull that now, love. This is how bad the writing is. It contradicts itself in the same pissing scene. You can't have a body type 1 staggering in here, sighing, disrespecting her leader and telling her he's made a mistake, and then going, I seek your forgiveness. I did everything wrong. Either she acts submissive or she doesn't. You can't have a character doing both at the same time.
Lady Soroth,
We're gonna fire out a cannon.
barred from this court's counsel until you are once again presentable.
Gonna be difficult to make that presentable. You can't keep snorting and sighing at people. You are submissive and apologetic, or you're not. The stupid thing is, as a dark friend, she should be clever enough to be submissive. They weren't just egotistical prats. When they needed to feign that someone else was in control of them, they did it. Then she's utterly stupid when she looks to Ishamael. Should I do it? Your boss is in front of you and you're showing him that he's in charge. And he made it worse by verbally giving her commands. And don't come back. When she looked round, he could have just like nodded, given some kind of other signal. You don't have to show this guy that you're in charge of her, which is what you've just done. I would expect this kind of political complexity in writing from a 2-year-old. But she kneels and gets her fingernails cut off. Unfortunately, you didn't miss. Ironically, her fingernails are now about an inch long, so if she lacquers them blue in the next scene as well, they'll actually be canonically accurate for once. Be nice if something was. But then we've got a Shamiel going, oh, by the way, from the town, I've got a gift for you.
I know you're a collector of ancient things.
I'm surprised you didn't give him Moraine. Thane comes up holding a box, and they're just like, we're going to annihilate the cannon. We're actually going to nuke it from orbit and catch it in 4K. Anyone who wants to defend this series of being Wheel of Time, well, they didn't do you any favors with this one, did they? At this point, it's like they're intentionally destroying your credibility. Wheel of Time started as a TV series and evolved into an IQ test.
I give you the horn.
Piss off! It's not even this bit that really makes me angry. I just know what's coming next. Because they did get the horn. They didn't do this to it, though. Puts down the box. This was a box that no one could physically open. Done that way deliberately, because if the wrong person opens the box, the world ends. This is a tool that has to be used in a very specific way. Don't worry, though. Rafe's got a different idea. The way you open the box... yeah, just spin the circles on the side a bit, mate. Then the one on the top. How does he know how to do any of it? We don't know. He shouldn't. Middle circles just spin open on their own. And the box opens to reveal the Horn of Valir. The reason this is so bad is because if he blows it, then he controls the army, which is why only the person who is meant to blow it could open it. And the idea that he would open the box and not blow the horn is insane. Instead, he's like, oh, it's one of those powerful artifacts in all of existence.
The whole world will be ours.
Yes, that's why you shouldn't be allowed to open it, you canonical abomination. The Wheel of Time. If it was shit. Back to Ran now, who's running away from a corpse. Corpses are really scary. I also didn't mean Moraine was the corpse, she's with him.
Why are we running? You killed her!
She's already explained that to you, mate, in the last episode. Stabbed her through the heart, slit her throat, and then went, that won't stop her for long! Don't worry, oh, 3 minutes have passed. He has a very short memory. But then Moraine completely confuses what Forsaken can do.
That wound will barely slow her down.
No, it definitely would have killed her. You stabbed her through the heart and slit her throat, mate. She's dead. Forsaken aren't demons. Then we see Selene resurrect herself. I probably can't show it you on here. There's a lot of tomato ketchup all over the place. But it starts with her being dead, and then she sort of resuscitates herself and starts breathing again. So she feels her wounds, like, oh, you've stabbed me here, you've done this. And then she channels with, like, dark spots rushing into her eyes and heals herself. You're like, there's so many problems with this. Her not channeling like the others means that this is the true power, and she's channeling directly from the Dark One's source himself, which, as far as I'm aware, she couldn't do at this point. Next to channel, she'd have to be alive, but she was killed, and the only person that could have brought her back would be the Dark One himself, who does actually have the power over life and death. If they'd said the Dark One had brought her back, I wouldn't have had a problem, but it seems like she's invincible, because they're demons or something that could just self-revive. But she heals herself. This would have been a lot better if he went, the Dark One brought me back, and goes after them. Moraine's running like a woman who would be going at a mighty speed. Are you telling me that Rand would be matching her speed? But we see Selene walking away. I don't know what the lighting's got to do with it.
I don't understand.
That's because they've changed everything from the books, mate.
If we survive tonight, I'll explain everything.
Are you going to explain how you knew she was a Forsaken? Can we get that one out the way first? Wasn't long ago you thought Shamiel was the Dark One, but now you can identify Selene on sight. From behind. Pretty impressive.
Is terrified that one day he'll be discovered as the aging, talentless hack that he really is.
They find a stables, and somebody who can't ride them.
I'm commandeering your fastest horses on behalf of the Amelin seat.
Technically you could commandeer them, but you'd also have money, Moraine. Tells the woman that you're coming with us.
I swear you will regret this night, however much longer your life lasts.
She's gonna regret it anyway after meeting you. I don't believe Moraine would do any of this, by the way. Any of her future plotline is a load of nonsense. She goes to saddle the horses. Moraine decides to take his sword. I mean, she's got a dagger on her back herself, but no, I definitely need his sword.
There are 4 horses. I cannot give her away to followers.
That doesn't make any sense.
Why don't you take it with you? They took extra horses with them because a horse isn't a car, it gets tired. So you ride one, then you swap onto a fresh horse. This is a good thing. But no, she decides to take his sword and slaughter a horse with it for no reason apart from she's a bloodthirsty cow. Also, she's got her own dagger on her back. I don't want to kill him with this, I'll do it with yours. He's horrified, as he should be, because Moraine has the IQ of a spoon. So they ride off. Selene discovers a stable.
Clever.
Oh, you're thick as pig excrement as well, are you? I'm gonna say it's clever so everyone's impressed by Moraine even though what she did was moronic. Is this a different version of show not tell? I'm gonna show you that the people are idiots, but tell you they're amazing. The worst thing is that means that the writer thought they were being clever. We've just witnessed the limits of this writer's intellectual capacity.
The Star Wars fanbase really seems to be the most kind of toxic.
But at that moment, coincidentally, a horse turns up. Quite frankly, the only way you could explain this away is if she was a Taveran. But she finds out the road runs to Tarvalon, and then with a flick of her wrist, she explodes his head. Gotta admit, it's very cool. It was the same with the resurrection, actually. Her being able to do it is nonsense, but the way it looked was great.
Is there anything slower than a horse?
Rafe Judkins? Just throwing out possibilities. But then we have not Perrin and not Elias. They talk about how his eyes will change and they'll be better because you're able to see in the dark and they'll be more accurate. Longer distance. And Perrin realizes they've walked back to the town that they left, which is in the opposite direction of his friends who went to farm.
We're going the opposite way. You lied to me.
Better than being dead.
Yeah, we find out that not Elias is an arsehole. Because he's talking about we need to go and save my friends, and then he just keeps waffling on this crap.
But like my friends.
They're not your pack.
Nor are you.
Neither are the humans from the Two Rivers.
Nor are you, and Elias wasn't like this. Nothing about this guy's personality is Elias.
Neither was your wife.
His wife is the definition of his pack. But he also never had a wife, so who cares, quite frankly? It's not even part of the story. He starts screaming at him, and not Elias just does more not Elias things. He summons all the wolves to threaten Perrin, as if you don't want to fight me. Elias's entire point is, we're your pack! Oh, by the way, we're gonna tear you apart if you raise your voice at me. With family like Elias, who needs enemies? This isn't Elias.
Sorry, I'm sad and lonely.
So Perrin goes off to hunt for his friends. We see the three numpties riding along on horseback, and we get a close-up shot of what I assume is a portal stone. We don't do anything with it, but member berries. We're not going to give you the story of Wheel of Time. We're just going to put things in occasionally that some people go, look, it's just like Wheel of Time, it's got portal stones in it. So then Lanfear comes along, whipping a horse with strands of air. But it turns out Moraine was just hiding behind a rock all this time.
It'll be a day or two before she discovers the truth.
It's going to be even longer for the audience because nobody knows whether you're just getting the canon wrong or have actually changed it in your show.
Somehow I knew you'd be back.
Yeah, Rad, none of us are lucky enough for her to piss off at this point.
Tell me the truth, all of it.
How did you know Celine was Lanfear? What happens if I was banging a tavern wench?
You did not defeat the Dark One at the Eye of the World.
I don't know why any of you ever thought he did. The Eye of the World isn't where the Dark One is. You should know this. But she tells him he actually said to Shamiel free because for some reason in this world, all of them are individually sealed away under a seal, which I'm assuming is the seals which keep the Dark One locked away. All of this is a fantasy. And she tells him that it was actually you in your last life that sealed them all away. That Shamiel's released Lanfear, the person who you know quite well. In fact, by this point, randos are inside and out.
If he releases them all, well then we have no hope of winning the last battle.
Alright, love, calm down, you're jumping the gun there. Yeah, so they've released the two most dangerous ones, but if he releases all of the more useless ones, we'll be in trouble. That's not how that works. So Perrin's walking along, being lonely. This is the most realistic part of the story, that nobody wants to be around Perrin. But wait, Hopper comes to join him. He takes him back to the town, you know, the one he was walking away from. Perrin gets mad, I'm not gonna go back there. He shows him an image of the dead guy in a cage, for some reason.
They didn't even bury him.
Yeah, that's what they're going with. Just so we're all on the same page, if an evil invading army comes and takes over a city, and they just don't bury somebody who's already dead, I'm not going back for him. You'd have an argument of going back for him if he was alive, but you dying to bury a corpse is ridiculous. But Perrin's like, oh, I'm gonna go back now.
Would you wait for me here?
Yeah, I'm not going with you, you're a pissing lunatic. So he starts creeping through the enemy-occupied village, and just as he's about to get him out of the cage...
That'll be loud, Bystander.
It's Avienda, supposedly. Do you ever look what Avienda looks like? There's the TV series, and the books. Seriously, it's like looking in a mirror, isn't it? I'm actually amazed they've got the casting of this show so accurate to every single character. It's amazing. But as he goes to meet her, a guy comes out and warns him. You don't want to go near her. Last guy who touched the cage, he took his arm off. I like how everyone's just like, oh yeah, there's an heel there, it's fine. Yeah, happens all the time over the spine of the... It's not a big deal. It's not like it happens incredibly rarely, and the last time it happened, it was just because of a major war. We're just not even going to question why they're in somewhere that they despise. Tosses her some water. Perrin asks what she did, and then we get a very weird description.
What did she do? The Shongshan put her in that.
You've met the strangers.
Why are we calling them the strangers? Was that a thing? If it is, I can't remember it, but the Seanchan's name wasn't secret. This town has met them, they took the oaths, they would know they were called Seanchan. That means he would know they're called Seanchan. Why are we calling them the strangers?
Because your birth certificate says you were born.
Don't use his dead name.
But there's a curfew. He can't be allowed to walk around at night, so he's gonna have to stay at the inn. He could say, oh, you could just leave the town. There shouldn't be a curfew outside the town. Apparently, no, you're coming to the inn, because we need you to. Then we're desperately trying to fix the problems that we made with the cannon.
Looks like Two Rivers work.
Yeah. By the way, I know you're from the Two Rivers because you're wearing jewelry. It's not like a ring could ever be worn by somebody who wasn't from the town it was made in. I mean, if we went by that logic, from all the electronics I own, I'm from China.
You're on the wrong side of the mountains of mist.
But you had to do that because from every aspect of Perrin, he couldn't physically be from the Two Rivers. You know, a place where people haven't been there in thousands of years. So he's telling Perrin, you can't save Avienda. We get a dog come over and make friends with Perrin, and he spots Valda in the distance before going in the inn to avoid him. We talk to the innkeep, who actually gives us some useful information about the Sean Chan.
We were better off before. Now, once you swear the oath, they leave you alone.
Yeah, so why were they acting like murderous lunatics before in the previous episode? Why are you contradicting your own law? That's actually one of the few bits of canonical information they've got in the series, and it immediately contradicts what they've already shown in the series. What a surprise.
They'll never know what you sacrificed for them.
But Velda's come over to speak to Child Bornhold. I can't believe he gave Avienda water. He starts showing that he despises the questioners.
Think it's a coincidence that we find Aiel this far west of the spine?
I'm glad somebody finally mentioned it. Why doesn't everybody think this is weird? They're scared of water, and somehow we find one near farm. Over here is the spine of the world. The Aiel came from over here, and now we're like here somewhere. They've crossed the entire pissing continent of the world. These people should be petrified.
The more questions I ask, the more answers I get.
Yeah, unfortunately, if I ask them about this show, I find out I don't actually want the answers. At this point, I've learned don't think too hard, because they're not going to bother.
The day will come when your father's name will not save you, Dane Bornhold.
We had to call him Dane Bornhold so you knew who he was. Again.
He was to be given nothing, Child Bornhold.
Just in case you didn't get it the first time. Back at the White Tower, and we swear it's not a massive cart. Celine is riding, and she's caught up with the horses. But it turned out to be Mrs. Haribo. She says they just told me to ride to Tarvalon as fast as possible. They stayed way back there.
Even that's not good for them, that amount of riding without a break, even though I've been trained.
Stop talking.
Based economy.
Lanfear might have just become my favourite character. He's hoping she goes around the world just giving people what they deserve. Shut your gob and piss off.
Whose idea was it? This little trick.
The Aes Sedai's. The young man.
So she asks whose idea it was, and she says, well, it was the Aes Sedai's. The man just kind of seemed a little bit confused.
Of course he was. He's still so young.
That doesn't carry as much weight as it should when it's said by somebody who is thousands of years old.
She's more ruthless than I imagined, using you as bait.
Yeah, she shouldn't be though, should she? Rain doesn't just randomly kill people. She would have at least tried to have saved the woman that she roped in here for no reason. Yes, she would have killed her if necessary, but not deliberately and certainly. Because she starts begging for it like, I won't tell anybody. And then she sews her mouth closed like something out of the Matrix. I can't even remember that being a possible spell. Might have been done in the dream worlds. I can't remember it ever being done in real life. Hey, at least she's on the road to Tarvalon though. They would actually be able to help her. Next up, we're in, I don't know, it's the same town we're always in. We just say it's different places and attempt to change the colour palette. Oh, it's Tarvalon, okay. You can't tell where we are in the world from the city itself, but you can when you see the massive Verin's arrived. Well, not Verin. Because this person doesn't have the personality of Verin at all. In fact, it's the polar opposite of Verin. This is somebody who would never find out your secrets, because you'd always be on guard around her, which is the exact opposite of the entire point of a character.
You're back, Verin! For how long?
However it is, it's too long. But she kicks off the conversation with the two, straight to what she wants to know. Tell me all about those really strong novices that have just arrived. Yes, very subtle. This person is meant to be sort of always out there, not really concentrating, and everybody basically thinks she's never paying attention. You're not supposed to be this blunt person who's really acute on details that they know of. It's like you've got Verin and just stripped any depth from the character. Shallow as a duck's backside, this show is. Back with those same novices, they wake up to find themselves in the ways with Leandrin. How did Leandrin bring them through the ways? No idea. In the books, she just told them we're going to farm to save your people, and they voluntarily went with her. Why didn't you do that here? You've actually followed the plot line of the books for once, and then changed something for no reason, and the one thing you've changed doesn't make any sense. It's an astonishing talent of just, it's incredible.
You're shielded and bound.
And none of that would be necessary if you'd just gone, we're going to go with you voluntarily.
How did you attack us with the one power?
Yeah, this doesn't make any sense either. What she did to you was literally done in a previous episode of the same pissing series.
You broke the 3 oaths.
No! She smashed you into a wall. Leandrin has already smashed Nynaeve into a wall in one of the first episodes. It was to make you angry, so you could channel. It's the same pissing spell. This is in your own series. I can understand that you despise the books and hate everything about them, so don't care about rewriting them. You don't even care about your own series being accurate within itself. That surprises me. That means you're either too thick to, or just take no pride in your work.
I've broken many more than that.
True. I mean, this is a weird way to say, I'm the Black Azure, after you spent 4 episodes making her appear like a princess. Oh, we've got to feel sorry for her. She's a dark friend. We all knew you were a dark friend if you'd read the books, so I wouldn't even piss on you if you're on fire. So why did you spend 4 episodes trying to make us feel sorry for the evil person? If she fell off the ways into the darkness for eternity, I wouldn't care because she's pissing evil. You can't make me feel sorry for her. She's evil.
Do you know why the Aes Sedai swear the 3 oaths in the first place?
Yeah, because one of your red sisters kept pissing off Arthur Hawkwing, and so he had to slap you back where you belonged. You were abusing your power because you couldn't stand a man being in charge, and so he realised you needed some limits on yourself before you destroyed the pissing world.
Great King threatened to burn the tower unless we bound ourselves with the oaths.
Another case of a man taking credit for a woman's work.
I don't know why you're refusing to say Arthur Hawkwing. I also notice you're forgetting why he did it, you power-hungry lunatics.
Our power didn't frighten him as much as our humanity.
The Merlin seat at the time came from the Red. She had no humanity.
That's why the White Tower has so many rules and rituals and formalities if we look inhuman.
What? What? That's why we have so many traditions, because then we look inhuman. Traditions are the foundation of humanity, you crazy bint. It's literally passing on the legacy of your ancestors, their combined wisdom through time, so that you improve in the future. I didn't come up with it personally, then it's just not my humanity. What are you on about?
Unpredictable.
You had to be predictable, you had to have bounds on your power because you were abusing it and trying to take over the world.
Men won't measure themselves again.
What? The Merlin seat was pissed off because a man had power. That's why she was attacking him. Why are you rewriting history? You're the one at fault here. The Red Azure. You were the bigots. You felt threatened by him.
Have to tear us down.
You were so weak you tried to tear him down, and so we had to show the Aes Sedai they weren't all powerful. If it wasn't for him, you would have been massive tyrants by now. Well, more than the Aes Sedai already are.
You weren't recruiting me for the Red Azure, were you?
No, because she's an evil cow, which is why she's just lied to you.
I'll die before I join the Dark.
I don't know, you seem basically evil as it is as far as I can see in this show.
No matter what you do or say or where you take us.
Every woman has her price.
At least on that we can agree. In fact, a lot of people just put their price on a link tree.
A burden she can no longer carry. A hope for a future.
Have you ever tried growing a spine? Maybe you could embrace stoicism, control your emotions, and just have a spine.
Impossible in this world.
Aes Sedai was supposed to be better than this. If anything, they were the stiff upper lip, the royalty, the embodiment of nobility. It's our job to be hardened and actually in control of ourselves. And she said, I felt emotional, so I turned evil and signed up to be Satan's servant. I was a bit upset, so I joined Satan. Isn't an excuse.
Your son is dying.
Well, if that's the reason she turned into the dark, we could all hope he hurries up. So she's like, was your price all this? I don't know that you realise Leandrin is pure evil. There is no sympathy she deserves, nor will she be getting any. Of all the characters you could try and make sympathetic, Leandrin isn't the one. Give her a pencil moustache. It'd fit. Back to Soroth and Ishamiel. We've got a scene that doesn't make any sense because he's the lead Forsaken and Soroth is just a dark friend. So he's I don't know whether he's trying to be intimidating. He isn't. And in fact, he only has one good line in the entire episode.
Finished pouting?
That's not the one. But then she starts mouthing off to him. Ishamiel, the lead Forsaken, one of the most powerful channelers to have ever existed, and you've just got her, who's basically an egg, standing up to him. You would be turned into soup.
My desires are my own.
But I'm paying the price.
No one cares. You're a nobody. You're just a random dark friend.
It seems your stupidity is second only to your inability to control your temper.
That's actually true for most of the body type ones in this show. At this point, I'm just convinced that Rafe despises them. I'm going to put them in all the lead roles of my show and constantly humiliate them. I'm going to give them the worst lines, the worst characters, the worst personalities. I'm like, okay, dude, it's a strange tactic to do in a show. You could have just done what the books did.
It's my army.
What do you think you're doing walking up to Ishamiel and egotistically ranting in his face?
You need, for your war, my ships, my leashes.
You wouldn't have a neck. You would be vaporized.
You may be chosen.
He isn't just chosen. He's the most powerful person in the entire Dark One's army. You complete lunatic.
But you are not of the blood.
Firstly, he could make himself just look of the blood at any time he wanted. Secondly, who do you think you are? You are nothing compared to him. This is like scraping something off your shoe and it's insulting you as you're doing it. This scene makes no sense.
I know why you swore your oaths to the dark.
He wouldn't need to, though. He's more powerful than she is. She's nothing but a tool to him. It doesn't make you look smart when your characters don't even know their place in the hierarchy. She stands zero chance against him. Even if they were just a fist fight. I mean, look at that size difference. You can't have this kind of scene. It doesn't work. But he didn't break her through force, strength of will, his position, his actual ability with the power when she has none. Instead it was, I know your secrets! So yeah, don't worry, she really could have taken him if it came to a fight.
I forget myself, my lord.
You certainly do.
The last battle will be won right here.
No, it won't. Although I will let them off because I'm just assuming they only thought they'd have a second series, and so this was the end of the Wheel of Time for them. I mean, this really should have ended in the second season. But he gives them the prophecy that essentially the dragon will fight in the clouds above the city. Perrin decides to sneak out of the inn, and he goes to rescue Avienda.
We should get going, but we won't get very far if I have to carry you.
Yeah, if you have to carry her. But if actual Perrin got to carry her, it'd be a piece of piss. He's a blacksmith, mate. The guy was meant to be absolutely jacked. One of the reasons you're not Perrin.
One wetlander puts me in a cage, another takes me out.
Oh, glad you at least have a basic grasp of the story.
People shouldn't be in cages.
Surely that depends on the people. Lanfear in a cage? That's safe. We've already seen one of the false dragons in a cage. No one had a problem with that. I think you need to put a bit more thought into that one, mate. But she gets out.
My name is Avienda.
Apparently.
I'm Perrin. Ibarra.
Yeah, I don't know why she snorted like that either. I've just freed you from a cage. Ugh, pissing shove her back in, mate. She's not even grateful for it. But as they try to leave, Dane Bornhold appears as if they've been waiting for him. I don't know, it's very strange. Because they're literally surrounded on all sides as if he knew it was going to happen.
I told you not to help her.
Yeah, but the real question is, how did you know he was going to go back and help her? They surround them, he gives the order, attack them all at once, otherwise she will actually defeat all of you. That doesn't stop Perrin from going, stand back, love, I've got this. She laughs rather than going, look, I appreciate it, mate.
Perrin Ibarra, do you like to dance?
That's literally the slowest she possibly could have put that up. There are numerous times in the books where it says their veils appeared over their mouths as if by magic. It's just instantaneous. Why? They put those up to fight. Enemies don't often give you enough time to put them up. That's why they did it quickly. Oh, don't worry about me. I'm just a bit cold. But then, don't worry. We enter peak farce. There's nothing I can even say about this. I'm just going to show it to you. What was that? She doesn't have the weight, let alone the muscle, to start flipping over men 3 times her size. Now, there are parts of her fighting style I like, such as gripping their arms and, like, breaking their wrists and things. That makes sense. She doesn't have weapons to defeat them, and doesn't have the strength to fight them head on, so doing things like disabling their limbs, that'd be good. Using various different leverage, speed, agility. Of course, we can't have that. She has to break the rules of physics instead. Eventually, Perrin decides to pick up an axe. Should we just assume she's the Hulk? Because at this point, the only explanation of what's happening is superpowers. But eventually, Perrin joins the fight and starts to attack them. Finally! I don't know how I'm supposed to take that seriously. We probably should have given her a spear before the fight to make it reasonable, or not give her a fighting style that involves, like, her weight versus his weight. So there's parts of her fighting style I like and part which I don't. If we just accept that, you know, she has super strength, I guess it works. But she takes out Bornhold. And Perrin stops her killing him. At this point, you're kind of like, well, why would she even listen to him? But she does explain later. Perrin's like, he gave you water. I mean, he was about to kill you, but he gave you water earlier. He was about to kill me. You give me a bottle of Pepsi and then try and murder me. The bottle of Pepsi doesn't make up for it, mate. I think we need to change your priorities, Perrin. But he's just like, what on earth are you? Because you've got glowing eyes. And they leave, leaving Bornhold alive. Now we're back in the city that could be any city because it's always the same set. She tells Rand we can't sleep because Lanfear controls the world of dreams.
Her casual cruelty and her mastery of Teleran Riod.
Teleran Riod. I don't think either of those are how I was pronouncing it. I think I was pronouncing it Teleran Hirod. But it's like, you can keep us awake though with the one power, can't you?
No.
I'm pretty sure even if she could channel, she couldn't do that in the first place. She could give you energy, but they'd still used to sleep, and she could never give herself energy. The water bond was supposed to do that. Welcome to an entirely made-up, fantastical, and utterly pointless series of scenes. He's like, oh, I'm marrying into royalty. He confuses Rand for a warder.
I'm not a warder.
This is Rand.
I suppose introducing somebody as the savior of the world isn't exactly, what am I saying? It'd be an amazing first impression. This guy could save the world. You're all gonna die unless he saves you. Get him some bed and a better clothes, you peasant.
Pleasure, Rand.
You'd get a better welcome than that. You're wondering why I didn't summarize the rest of that scene? Nothing of importance happened in it. You literally like just feed Rand, give him some clothes. Oh, I'm gonna be your king. Yeah, there is so much content in the books that they cut out just to put crap like that in it that isn't even worth summarizing because it has literally no bearing on anything. It's just all the writers being too amazed at their own lack of talent. But in comes not Varin. Far too astute and, quite frankly, blunt, lacking any subtlety, nuance, and would immediately get caught in a place like the White Tower. But she's asking about the novices. Where did they go? Have they left the tower? I can't find them anywhere. As the mistress of novices, you should know if they've been signed out of the tower, shouldn't you? Like, one of them is the daughter heir of Andor. It's a fairly serious issue if you've lost her.
The daughter heir? It's worth taking a look, don't you think?
Yes, I mean, the princess of Andor has left the tower. Maybe you've just forgotten that when you wrote it down in your book. But she looks through, she's like, oh, here it is.
Here it is. A visit to Elaine's home in...
I can only assume the direction here is just keep a blank expression on your face. You're supposed to be distracted. People are supposed to forget you're in the room.
The 3 was signed out just the other day. That seems worth remembering.
Yes, doesn't it? It also seems like that's not the sort of thing you should be bringing up to the person that you think is lying to you. You don't want them to know that you know they're lying to you.
I don't know how it slipped my mind, frankly. It's quite unusual. That it is.
But don't worry, because remember those words. They're important. As in the next scene, some of the Aes Sedai lie about them. You know, the Aes Sedai that can't lie. But she says, you took out a book. I'd like to read it. Is there any chance you could get it for me? So they leave the place together. In comes Varin's friend, one of the Brown sisters, who starts to look through at the various different things to find the record of the novices leaving the place. Before we find out what she learns, apparently she's got an eidetic memory, photographic memory.
Interesting thing is that there's a slight tremor in the notation.
Yeah, incredibly interesting, love.
Show me.
How exactly do you expect her to do that? She says she's got a photographic memory. That means it's in her own head. Not in this show, though. Oh, of course. Let me just search through these papers that I did not steal from the book because I've got a memory. Here you are. Here's the piece of paper that I did not take from the book.
This is Shuri's usual writing.
Where did you get that from?
But here, it looks as if her hand was moving more slowly.
Are you a master forger? You would need a photographic memory and the ability to forge anyone's handwriting down to their specific writing style, including if they slow down. You slowed down.
Or perhaps it was someone trying to mimic her handwriting.
You were mimicking her handwriting. That's the only place that you've got that card from. Because you did not rip that from her book, otherwise she'd know. So presumably, you copied it down from memory is the only thing I can think makes sense in this scene.
No, Shariam remembered making the notation herself.
No, she didn't. At no point in that scene did she say she remembered the notation.
I don't know how it slipped my mind, frankly. It's quite unusual. That it is.
Varin's just lied. Varin shouldn't be able to lie.
Do you think it might look like this if a weave of compulsion was being used?
No, compulsion just makes you do something, so you just do it. But we've randomly got to bring up the Black Ajar, so apparently in this, yes. Actually, yes. She's like, oh, that means they're real. I don't know why you'd think they weren't real. Anyone can be a dark friend. Obviously, some Aes Sedai would switch. Back to Liandrin, though. She's meeting Soroth, and this is one of the few things from the actual books throughout the entire series. Even then, they get it wrong. It really is astronomical, the changes that they make for absolutely no reason whatsoever that ruin the scene. Here we are. So she leads the horses up to the guards with the girls on their backs. The guards, firemen's lifts, the novices, and like, okay, fine. You're gonna take them to the Soldarm so they can get college, right? Immediately, because they're dangerous. No, what they do is decide to put them by some trees over here on the opposite side of the clearing from the army and the Soldarm. So nobody collars them. What? The Sean-Chan see anyone who can channel but is uncollared as basically an abomination. You're like a dangerous viper. They wouldn't just leave you by a tree. Liandrin complains that a Shamiel wouldn't meet her personally. You're a nobody. You're just a random dark friend. You wouldn't expect the head Forsaken to go around doing all of his own dirty work.
What you do to these women is an abomination.
You're literally giving them 3 more. What you do is an abomination, and I'm doing it myself. You can't take the moral high ground when you don't have any morals.
Perhaps the Sean-Chan should learn proper respect for the One Power.
You're handing over your own sisters. Now is not the time to talk about respect.
We respect the One Power so much we don't believe that anyone should wield it by accident of...
It's not what the Sean-Chan believed. They believed they were basically not human. They literally thought of them as property. They dominated them because they were so dangerous, they basically needed to be controlled by their betters. That's problematic for someone like Rafe. So it's got to be, we're doing it out of respect. We don't want it to be hereditary.
Our Suldam trained for years.
Only if you're trained, you see, we really respect them. No, yeah. They trained to be responsible. No, this isn't the Sean-Chan logic, you lunatics.
To prove themselves worthy, they earn their right.
They earn their right to own property. Begins with an S. The word you're looking for is it begins with an S. But you can't say it, can you? Because it's too problematic for you, given the people doing it. Welcome to why Hollywood can't make a good story, folks.
Unlike the Aes Sedai.
Yeah, they earn their right to own a person.
Perhaps I will be the one to place the collar around your lovely throat.
Speaking of collars, why haven't you collared the 3 people who can channel in the back? So Leandrin walks off past the people who are a danger to everybody because they can channel, and she goes back through the ways. But don't worry, because despite the fact that Leandrin is pure evil and has signed her soul away to the devil, that'd be too problematic to put in this show because Rafe, he supports them. So she wakes him up. Now, in the books, none of this was required because they went there voluntarily. She said, "We're going to save our friends and farm." And then they walk out. Suddenly, the Shan-Chan grab them. So they're taken by surprise. It just works. But because you want Leandrin to be a good guy, even though she's pure evil, you've now ruined the entire story and this doesn't make any sense. So they wake up, making it even more stupid that no one's put a collar on them.
Bring them to me.
Why didn't you immediately collar the dangerous vipers that you think should literally be collared and walked around like a dog?
Do something. I can't.
I don't know why you can't. All you've got to do is get angry, love. You've got humans, people that can channel, collared in front of you. It should be easy enough to get angry. But then Elaine channels. You're like, what? Elaine wasn't even here in the books. Min was. In the books, Nynaeve channeled in this section. So they start not hitting anybody, I don't know why, rather than hitting the ground in front of them, hit them. None of these novices had any problems killing the Shan-Chan in the books at this point. They don't have any oaths, so they run, causing the Damani to attack them. Yeah, they miss as well. You're supposed to be capturing them, why are you trying to blow them up? But then Egwene comes up and puts a shield up, reflects their magic. Nobody knows how she knew to do that. She just can. So they all run away. Egwene gets hit by an explosion. The other 2 run away. Not even fighting back at all. In the books, this is way better. Like, they're running behind trees, they all split up, and Nynaeve is, like, channeling at people. Like, some of them are hearing explosions in the distance. They just run off into the open. Oh, looks like we got away. We just ran away for a bit.
Wait. Where's Egwene?
There's Egwene. My question is, why aren't they chasing you? Did they just find Egwene and think, that'll do? The soldiers would be chasing you and everything. This is stupid. So we have Perrin talking to Avienda. He's like, I have Tor. You saved me. Now I give you my water.
You do not dance the spears badly, Perrin Aebara.
I think you're in, mate.
I thought your people never left the West.
Wetlanders call it the West.
Yeah, and he's a wetlander. You've just told him something he already knows because he is that thing. It's like me going up to a French person and go, do you speak French? And they go, well, only English people say it's French. Yes, that's why I said it. What's your point?
It is the threefold land, a shaping stone to make us, a testing ground to prove our worth.
So we basically get a law exposition dump immediately.
Punishment for the sin.
Yeah, I've just met you, but I'm going to tell you how I'm getting punished for a random sin that I don't even know what I've done.
For the sin.
What sin?
Nobody remembers, it was so long ago.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a starting conversation. Should we break the ice with talking about the weather or something? No. Let me tell you about the sin of my people.
Why did you leave?
So she tells him she's looking for essentially the leader of our people. There's a prophecy about the Stone of Tyr. At this point, I don't know whether they're going to change the prophecy.
Oh, where are you going?
Where you go, Wetlander.
I've left the waste and crossed the wetlands, which I'm scared of. They really should have mentioned how there's a body of water next to her that she's meant to be amazed at right now. I've never seen that much water before. But I am searching for the Kara Khan. This is the most important thing of my life, and the only reason I've left the waste in the first place. So where are you going then? I'm following you. What?
What you just said.
I have Toe.
I know that's from the books, but it just reminds me of that Doctor Who episode.
But you've let them in, though.
But essentially, she owes him a life debt.
You saved my life. My water is yours.
Told you were in, mate.
Don't know about that.
It is not a lover, Wetlander. Though I would not be opposed.
I don't know about that. So he decides to head to farm, and we get Nynaeve and Elaine joining a caravan to get into farm themselves. I'm assuming it's farm.
This farm on Tomenhead.
Why are you telling Nynaeve that? She should know. Why would you spend all the time getting to a city, walk through the gate, and then go to the person you've been travelling with? By the way, this is farm. It's on Tomenhead. Like, yeah, no, we've been travelling here for weeks. Did you think I was just following you and at no point went, where are we going? Stop telling characters things they already know. Just have a guard on the gate stop their caravan and go, we inspect all carriages coming into farm, so we know it's farm.
Farm?
Why are you both talking if you didn't know where you were going? You were in a caravan and came here deliberately. You all knew this was farm before you got here. You must have done.
That's where Leandrin said Perrin and Loyal were being taken.
Yes, and you've gone here deliberately. But then there's a guy who notices them, decides to follow them. They walk down a back alley and go, look, we've got to change our clothes. People are looking for us. But then as they try and escape some soldiers who are on patrol...
I don't even know you.
Based economy.
I've just met him. Kind of like him. Great first impression there.
Sister, you've returned.
So Leandrin returns and Varen immediately pounces on her with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer to the face. So where have you been? Oh look, I've got this special vegetable that only comes from one place at exactly this time of year because then it proves that I've been there. All the subtlety of a sledgehammer to the face.
It seems your stupidity is second only to your inability to control your temper.
This is a political drama if it'd been written by people who were in the lobotomy recovery ward.
It's a delicacy from the village. You can only procure them there and only at this time of year.
Very subtle, Varen. Very subtle. She's a dark friend. If somebody did something that suspicious to her, she'd just kill you. But then she makes herself more suspicious when she brings up the novices. It's like, where have they gone? Oh, I've been looking for them. She's like, oh no, their caravan. I heard it got attacked on the way. We must tell the keeper.
Those girls are worth more than gold itself. Hurry!
And Varen's just like, oh, I know your game. Varen is supposed to be one of the best spies. She's the most useless. You would be caught in an instant, love. So then we have another entirely useless, entirely made up scene between Moraine and her fake sister that doesn't exist. Moaning that I've got to protect Rand. I don't know how to protect Rand. She says you should have stayed away. She went, I know. And the sister eventually goes, are you sure about everything? Is it always true? Does Rand need your protection? She goes, oh, maybe Rand doesn't need my protection. Okay, love. I don't know why this is a big deal for you, because firstly, you can't channel. You can't provide him any protection. And secondly, at the end of the first season, he walked off. He left you. You haven't been protecting him anyway. Also, how did you know that Selene was Lanfear? I'd love to know. Then we jump over to Jamiel, who decides to do this with Rand, but luckily he knows. It's actually Lanfear in disguise, and they're in the world of dreams.
How'd you know?
Subtlety's never been your strength. It doesn't just apply to Lanfear, that's the entire pissing show and all of its creators. So she's here to distract her, pass some time while she's waiting for Rand to fall asleep. So they talk about Moraine, about how surprised you didn't kill her. He says, well, a Deadeye Sedai is useless, but one without power isn't. It'll put her on a different path. I still think that this means she's shielded, surely, not stilled. Because if she was stilled, the most likely option would be that she would top herself. So at least shielded, she'd be alive for him to use.
Aren't you worried I'll betray you?
Will you?
I think that's his best line. The first time out of the entire series, he's been intimidating. It's the first time he's actually acted like his character.
Obviously.
And even if they both know that's true, still weird to say it. But he's like, don't you understand my power? The Dark One only talks to me, not the rest of you.
Because Mo Gideon's insane.
Not true. She's like a master strategist and manipulator.
Grendol's a vain idiot and the
True, but she's still dangerous and useful. She just prefers the finer things in life.
boys couldn't execute a plan even if they were under compulsion.
That's just the creator's bigotry and self-loathing being projected onto men everywhere. But, you know, we're used to that by now in this show. He's like, no, the reason is I actually believe in the dark. I believe we need to stop the wheel to solve all the evil in the world, of which I am it. Even if that's his motivation. This is book 2, mate. He's like, but I can control you because I know what you want. You want Luz Therin. And she says, how does this Luz Therin measure up to the previous one? You know, the adult.
Softer. Takes no pride in his birthright and rejects his own power.
Those aren't things that Lanfear would like. He's a weak baby! No. She was always tempting him with power because she wanted him to embrace it. She wouldn't want him soft. She'd want him to be a man. She'd be desperate to change this Rand. But then he starts telling her the events that we've just seen, which is entirely irrelevant to the scene.
But one craves power, and the other one fears it.
I don't even know what he's talking about there. Is he trying to say that Egwene craves power? It doesn't fit with either of them.
What do you think Rand will do when he sees his friends all lost?
He'll dig in his heels and go and rescue them because Rand is a man and that's what he does.
You will break.
No. It's amazing you can spend so long with a person and not understand them at all. He hardens, not breaks. It's literally an entire arc in the books. But he gets called by the boss. He says, hang on, you're not even from the blood, but you seem to have risen high in Sorth's court very quickly. Yes, and now, for some reason, he leads her. But he says, you've given us the horn that I shouldn't have, and would have absolutely have already blown by now, and I don't know why I haven't. So I will give you one wish. He says, Lady Sorth just has a gift for you, and I wish that you would accept it in good faith. Then we got the two novices waking up.
Who are you? Raimo.
I repeat, who are you? Because you shouldn't be here. They went off and did the mission alone. You two don't exist.
Of the Yellow Aja.
And Aes Sedai certainly didn't exist.
Do you have any idea what these Shanchan do to women who can channel?
I don't know if they do or not, but whatever it is, you shouldn't be here to tell him about it. So then we got Soroth bringing someone with chainmail over their face. She's like, this is a novice from the White Tower who is more powerful than any Damani we have found in a long time.
Collar her.
Why is she not already collared? If she's not collared, she can channel. The first thing you would have done to her when you were in the forest, put a collar on her. You don't leave a dangerous viper who could destroy the world uncollared. This is the foundation of your culture. What are you doing?
She must be tamed.
Why did you not tame her in the pissing forest before you brought her in front of your leader? She can channel right now. Why was she not channeling before? But they put a collar on and this one like magically glowed. No, they just look like ordinary necklaces, but okay, for some reason this one's like literally magic. Like, did you watch Marvel or something? And I mean, no, seriously. You watched Marvel, didn't you? And thought, that's really smart, I want that. None of that is canon. I don't even know why we've got shoulder pads. It's just a necklace, love. This isn't difficult. It's not painful, love. What is this? No, seriously, what is this? It's not painful. It just feels like the world is muted, but it wasn't painful unless she wanted it to be. But they collar her like she deserves, put on her little dog collar, and Egwene finally realizes, you're entirely irrelevant as a side character. Back to Rand and the people who don't exist. She's like, oh, we're gonna stay here for a bit, you can go to bed. If Lanfear wanted to kill you, then she's been with you for months, so she already could have done it. What you should do is go to sleep and meet her. But then she says that Lanfear was with Luz Therin, and she's desperate to get him back. In fact, she wasn't always a dog friend.
But she was a dog friend.
Only after he broke her heart.
No! Oh, we gotta blame the man again. He broke her heart, and that means that she did it for love. No! Just in case anyone's wondering, somebody splitting up with you doesn't make you go and join the devil. She craved power and status, and Luz Therin was one of the strongest and most important people to have ever lived. She got with him for his status, and him splitting up with her humiliated her because she lost that power and status that she got from him. But in this show, it's problematic to actually get anything from a man, so no, he's just the cruel person who broke her heart and she did it for love.
She swore her oaths to the dark to try to get him back.
And for power! And she only wanted him back for power and status. So she tells him, you need to pretend that you're on her side to find out what they want. Go and meet her. I'll stay here and wake you up if it looks like you're dying. So he goes to sleep, and suddenly, I'm tied to a wheel. It's not a spinning wheel because we don't understand the law. We just think all wheels are the same. And they kind of think that the wheel refers to a water wheel. I mean, it's an interesting fashion choice they've chosen for Lanfear. I think this screenshot looks kind of cool, actually.
Finally.
I kind of wish he'd gone, hello, sweetie. I don't mind you nicking things from Doctor Who. But yeah, welcome to the non-canonical mess, which did actually include several pieces from the books in this episode. It's just that they made pointless changes to them for no reason that ruined them. Like Leandrin attacking people for no reason when they were going to go voluntarily, only so she could free them at the other end. All the pointless law changes, which are solely designed to make men look bad, despite the fact that the body type ones did it all. No, the Wheel of Time seems to be an effort of rewriting history and rewriting the canon, because it doesn't support Rafe's ideological worldview. The issue is, because people that do support him have absolutely zero talent or intellect, everything they do is awful and defeats their own objective. That's why Verin is now an idiot. That's why all of the political intrigue is as shallow as a duck's backside and very obvious. It's like getting hit in the face with a sledgehammer. All of this was done better in the books. All of your changes are objectively worse, and quite frankly, you don't have the ability to achieve what you're trying to achieve. Most people would have learnt this by now, or had their people who were giving them money learn this by now. But I guess Amazon just likes destroying hundreds of millions of dollars in cash. Because if there's one thing we've learned by watching this trash, that's the only thing that they're actually equipped to achieve. But those are just my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe for more videos like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.